Hello, everybody. All righty then. Office hours number 19. I'm always surprised at how high the number gets when you do one a week for a full year. They go pretty high. I think we get to like totally, if you think about the number of weeks, 20, usually in the mid 20s. What's up, Akash? I see you, Doom Kaiser. Jeez Louise. Nathan. Yeah. He's right there. He's chilling. What's up, Arya? Yeah, what's up, T Chili? What's your question? Give it to me. Going to more airwaves. This stream is brought to you by Airwaves. Gum of the future. What's up, Bharati? Ashi, I see you. So, what is polarization and depolarization in the heart? That has to do with the electrical signal of the heart. So, the heart will polarization and depolarization has to do with how the electrical signal is transmitted from the man. It's been a while since I've talked about the electrical because I taught this when I taught physio, which was 3 or 4 years ago. So I have to really go back real quick. There's the SA node and the AV node. So the sinoatrial nodes at the top, and the AV atrioventricular node at the bottom or in the middle of the heart. So those nodes, they go through a process of polarization and depolarization, which is when they release their signal. Now, I don't remember exactly when which is which. I'm trying to remember. Let me see if we can figure this out. And it has to do with the QRS. It has to do with the QRS complex. I don't know if you're learning that. Maybe I'll pull it up real quick. Pull up the QRS complex. It's like the classic the EKG diagram when you look at like any TV show or movie where someone's hooked up to a heart monitor and you have like beep, 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 and you've got that like diagram that you see, that like spike. That's the EKG, and that shows the polarization and depolarization of the heart. So the spike is the membrane potential. All right, so let me show you. All right, 1 second. Let me pull up this a site here that we can look at. Ashi, I'll get to your question in 1 second. And then Doom Kaiser, your couch push-ups are not only offensive to me, but Jameson does not appreciate it either. He's like, you know what? This is my chill spot, and you're gonna make him come over here and do couch push-ups. Am I right, buddy? Yeah, exactly. It's not appreciated, huh? All right, let me take a look at this real quick. By the way, my hair is getting so long. I don't know if you noticed. I'm going ponytail. I'm going disgusting ponytail just so that I stop playing with it. So that's a hairstyle that this is never going to work. That's an in private hairstyle only. That does not go out into the public. Hey Amina, how are you? And Mr. Chang. All right, Teacher, here's your answer. We'll pull up the let's pull up our office hours scene real quick. Ooh, we got to realign our. Oh geez. Oh wait, this is I gotta fix our overlay here. 1 second. It's got to be, its height has to be 500. Oh, no, the height, no, not 500. What's the height got to be? 600? Yeah, 600 is probably fine. Okay. And then we'll bring up our window capture. Boom. All right. Bam. All right. So do you see, Teacher Lee, right? The QRS complex. So what happens when we talk about polarization and depolarization? We're looking at the membrane potential of the cells in the heart and how their electrical activity is measured, right? So this is this idea of depolarization is when the cell depolarizes and then it repolarizes after the electrical signal has passed over it. So basically this is contraction and relaxation. So the muscle contracts during depolarization, and when the muscle relaxes during repolarization of the cell. So depolarization is when I believe the sodium ions leave. So the sodium ions are stored in the cell, and then those rush out, which is the depolarization of the membrane, and then they're brought back in to return the membrane potential with repolarization. Okay. Let me know if that clears anything up for you. Let me answer your question, Ashi. So your first question was, how does tar work to actually go and damage the alveoli? The tar, it probably I imagine there's sort of two ways it works, but I think the tar, first and foremost, contains contains what's it called? Compounds that probably damage the cells, the lining of the alveoli, the cells of the alveoli, and then beyond that, the tar itself probably coats the lining of the alveoli, right, and like deposits this physical deposit, which blocks the gas exchange across there, so it inhibits oxygen exchange, which is not so good. And then, Aria, you asked, does the coronary artery supply blood to the heart? The answer is yes. So, when you look at a heart diagram, so when you look at a diagram of the heart, really important is that the coronary arteries are these arteries that branch off of the aorta. So remember, the aorta is taking all of this blood from the left ventricle and is going to bring it to the body to deliver oxygen and nutrients. However, before it goes to the body, there are a couple of branches coming off of the aorta. These arteries lead to the heart muscle itself. So it goes on the outside of the heart. So it's kind of like the heart is pumping blood to itself. to oxygenate the cells of the heart so the heart can continue to function. Because the heart is a muscle and is made of tissue and cells that need oxygen just like anything else. So the heart has to pump. The heart's job is not only to pump blood to the rest of the body, but also to itself using these coronary arteries. Wait, this is kind of weird. Hold on a sec. Yeah. So that's what we mean by coronary arteries. Amina, do you need to know the immunity tree? Well, knowing the immunity tree is knowing about innate and acquired adaptive immunity. That tree is a diagram form of showing it, but you need to know both the tree and the slides after it. Bharati, when the diaphragm muscle contracts and pulls down, you inhale. When it relaxes, you exhale. This is what the answer key says. I thought the diaphragm flattens when you inhale. Yes. So when it says pull down, that's when it's flattening. So like, let me draw you we can look at a quick diagram here. Because it turns out that the diaphragm muscle very strange how that keeps changing size on me. So the diaphragm muscle looks like this. When the muscle is relaxed, it's actually concave like this. Right? So here's your thoracic cavity. Boom. Right? Let's say here's one lung. And then here's another lung. Right? And here's the diaphragm. When it's relaxed, this is the relaxed curved state. Relaxed and curved. Relaxed, curved, and this would be an exhalation. Then when you inhale, that diaphragm pulls down and it kind of flattens out, which increases the capacity of your lungs. So I'm going to try to draw these lungs a little bit bigger. So this would be flat, contracted, and you're doing an inhalation. What's up, Sanjay? Zender, are you okay? You feel like you're getting split personality disorder here? We have a bot channel in the Discord if you need someone to talk to, my guy. You don't have to just talk to yourself. Sanjay, how does NIH work to cure chronic autoimmune disease? What is NIH? I don't know what that means. The only NIH I know is National Institutes of Health. You might need to clarify what you mean by NIH. Is that a typo? Hi, Manu. How are you? Diastolic and systole are the blood pressure usually. So diastole would be blood pressure. I think diastole is blood pressure when your heart is at the peak of your blood pressure, when the heart pumps. And then systolic pressure is the pressure in between contractions. There are sort of two measurements of your blood pressure, right? So you can imagine when your heart contracts, your blood pressure rises temporarily because it's sort of pushing blood into your arteries. And then when it relaxes, the pressure kind of drops a little bit. So there's two pressures. There's the high pressure of when your heart contracts, and then there's the low pressure. Now, the question is, which is which? I think diastole is the high and systole is the low, but I don't know. I'm not sure which is which. Oh, I was wrong. Sorry. Systolic is during contraction. Systolic is during contraction. Diastolic is during in between the beats. Yeah, I forget. I always forget that. Amina, does blood in the pulmonary artery travel to the lungs and pick up oxygen, or does it drop off CO2? Amina, it does both. It does both. Just like Ashi said. Ashi on point. Do you need to know the difference between the different treatments for heart attacks and strokes? Do we need to know the different treatments? Yes, you should. What up, Mouse Pillow? How are you, man? You do need to know the difference, the difference between heart attacks and strokes. And you should know that heart attacks and strokes there's two different kinds of strokes, and there's two different kinds of of heart-related issues. There's heart attacks and there's cardiac arrest. So you need to know heart attacks and cardiac arrest and how you treat those. And you need to know the ischemic and hemorrhagic strokes and how you would treat those. If you have any questions about those, let me know. Oh, Sanjay, yeah, that's a citation. So that stands for National Institute of Health. It was just a reference. Yeah. Dude, Kaiser, you totally decided cognitive science for your major. Nice, dude. Cognitive science. Let's see what you're going to be learning. Cognitive science is the interdisciplinary scientific study of the mind and its processes. Wow, you're venturing into uncharted territory. We basically know very little about the mind. It examines the nature, the tasks, and the functions of cognition. Cognitive scientists study intelligence and behavior with a focus on how nervous systems represent, process, and transform information. Mental faculties of concern to cognitive science include language, perception, memory, attention, reasoning, and emotion. To understand these faculties, cognitive scientists borrow from fields such as linguistics, psychology, artificial intelligence, philosophy, neuroscience, and anthropology. Very interesting. This would be, of the different things that I would pursue, if I could go back into my youth and make a decision of like what to pursue, this would definitely be in the top 5 or top 3. Ashi, is asthma just in the bronchioles, or is it in the bronchi too? It's bronchioles as well. Yeah, it affects both. It affects both. Amina, sorry, you meant the different treatments for heart attacks and strokes? Heart pepper. Yes, you should. Amina, you should know those for sure. Yep. Bharathi, as the oxygen level in cells decreases, the breathing rate increases. Why is this statement wrong? So Bharati, that statement is wrong because remember, the reason why your breathing rate increases is due to your brain sensing the pH of your blood. Right? And so the pH of your blood is determined by the presence or the amount of carbon dioxide in your blood. So it's not, your breathing rate is not determined by the presence of oxygen. It's actually determined by the amount of carbon dioxide in your blood, because that affects the pH, which is what your brain is monitoring. And when your pH drops too low, because carbon dioxide and water form carbonic acid, which drops your pH. When your pH gets too low, then boom, your brain triggers the breathe response. So that statement seems like it would be true, right? That like, oh, if we don't have enough oxygen, we should breathe faster. But what's funny is that the actual mechanism behind why we breathe faster has nothing to do with oxygen content. It's all about carbon dioxide and blood pH. Sanjay, the spleen preserves iron and platelets from old red blood cells it destroys. So how is the old iron and platelets used, or is it transferred to new red blood cells? Yeah, so basically, yeah, we did. We went into a deep dive on that on the stream once because Ashi was interested in that. Hey, Ahana, how are you? And what we ended up figuring out was that there are the way it works, the way we figured it out, and it's way more detailed than you need to know, but essentially in your liver, the liver cells produce these iron transporting molecules that take the iron from your reticulated red blood cells and transport them back to the bone marrow through your bloodstream, and then drop the iron off there so that it can be used to make hemoglobin and make new red blood cells. So it is recycled. Yes, it's recycled. It's recycled by transferring it back to the bone marrow where the red blood cells are produced and the hemoglobin is. What up, Drew? How are you, man? Thanks for joining in. Can I explain the relationship between pH levels and breathing? I kind of just did, Amina, if you were listening to my answer for Bharati's question about what triggers the breath response or the breathing response. But essentially, just to sort of in a nutshell, the relationship between pH levels and breathing is that as the pH of your blood drops, it becomes more acidic due to a buildup of carbon dioxide. Your brain will send a signal to your diaphragm to contract, to breathe, to exhale carbon dioxide, so that the blood pH does not continue to decline. So the relationship is, as pH decreases, breathing rate increases. It's a negative relationship. As one goes down, the other goes up. So I can keep breathing. So you can keep breathing out without needing to breathe in. Well, okay, so that's physically impossible, Bharati. There's a couple reasons why you can't. The first reason why you can't continue to breathe out is because at a certain point, there will be nothing left in your lungs to exhale, right? You will exhale everything. Like if you can try to just exhale, but at a certain point, nothing else will come out. You've exhausted, because your diaphragm can't relax anymore, so that the volume of your chest capacity stays the same. So just physically, due to physics, there's just no way for air to leave. So you have to breathe in if you want to breathe out again. Right? It's impossible to continually breathe out without also breathing in, just physically. And secondarily, you need to breathe in because you still need oxygen regardless of the way that your brain measures whether or not you need to breathe. You also still need oxygen, so you'll have to breathe in to survive. Ahana, so the quiz is on the respiratory system, circulatory system, endocrine system, and immune system. Not directly on the endocrine system, no, but respiratory, circulatory, and immune, yes. What are fibrinogens, and why do we need to know them for the quiz? Well, a fibrinogen is basically a blood clotting protein. Yeah. So it's used when you get a wound. It helps clot your blood so that you don't continually bleed out. Yeah, Sanjay, the quiz is going to be officially... I can give you the official deets on it because I just put it together. So the quiz is officially... Let me pull it up over here. So, Physio 2 quiz is 4 parts. Part 1 is 9 questions. The second part is 7. The third part is 6. So 9, 7, 6. And the last part is 9. Does the lymph system just collect lymph and destroy pathogens? So the lymph system. So the way to think about this is like the lymph system it's like lymph vessels and stuff. Their main job is to essentially collect all of the fluid that has sort of leaked from blood vessels into the tissues of the body to prevent something called edema, which is the buildup of fluid in a tissue, right? So it's kind of like sucking all that extra fluid out and returns it to the bloodstream to be recycled and reused and all that. In addition to that, the lymph vessels also contain white blood cells, which are our immune system, part of our immune system, that can seek out and identify and attack and destroy pathogens, like you said. And there are special parts of the lymph system called lymph nodes, which are particularly useful for that filtering and identification of pathogens. Yeah, so it's 4 parts, Sanjay. So there's going to be a part on the respiratory, there's a part on circulatory, and a part on immune. But there's another part on like the cardiovascular health stuff, kind of separating that out. So it's like looking at the structure of the structure and function of the respiratory system and of the circulatory system, but then there's a part on like cardiovascular health stuff, which would be related to things like heart attacks, strokes, atherosclerosis, that kind of stuff. So that gets its own section. T-Chili, what are you not able to understand? Yeah, yep. Ahana, you are correct. It carries both. And Ashi is correct as usual. As usual. Oh, Onslaught, I don't think... Did I miss your... Wait, when did you... Oh, there, I just missed it. Sorry, buddy. My bad. Nice to see you. So you said, sorry, I didn't follow up on the email. Apparently the teacher rec for commissioner was completely optional. Okay, do you still want me to submit it? Because I have it halfway filled out. Or should I just abandon it? All right, man. You're the boss on that one. I'll do whatever you need. You let me know. So I will disregard. If you need anything else, let me know. More than happy to help. But I would appreciate a little more than an hour's notice. You're all good. It's all good. It's all good. I understand. I understand. So, all right, T-Chill. Let's take a look. Let's look at the QRS complex. Okay, so now this is too big. So the QRS complex, T-Chili. The QRS complex is the polarization and depolarization. Both polarization and depolarization happen within the QRS complex. P and T are not related to polarization and depolarization. Right? So if we look at this diagram and we compare it to this one, right? That big spike is the depolarization and repolarization. And we see that big spike there as well. Yeah, Ahana, no, this is not for our test. If that makes sense. What are the P? So, good question. So, let me grab this, copy this image, and put it over here. What? That's bad. Why does it look like that? All right, 1 second. So QRS is the ventricles, and the P and the T are the atrium of the heart. So it turns out that because your atrium contract first, and then your ventricles. The way it works is that P is the depolarization of the atrium. Then this QRS complex is the depolarization and repolarization of the ventricles. And then T, wait, what is T again? Must be the repolarization of the ventricles. Hold on, let me look at this. There must be a diagram that helps us with this more. Here we go. This is what you're looking for. This is what you want. This is all the answers you need right here, my guy. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Repolarization, depolarization. Okay, and so the reason why you can't find, so it's interesting because you might look at this and go, okay, so you have the atrium and the ventricles. The atria, I guess is how you pronounce, is plural. The atria depolarize at this P wave. Then, shortly after, once the ventricles fill up with blood, then there's a stronger depolarization of the ventricles, which would pump the blood to the lungs and to the body through the pulmonary artery and through the aorta. During this depolarization of the ventricles, the atrium are repolarizing. You just can't see it because it's happening at the same time, and the depolarization of the ventricles is a larger spike, so it kind of masks and blocks the repolarization of the atrium. And then a little bit later, the ventricles repolarize here. And so all that this polarization and depolarization is measuring is the voltage across the membrane of the cells of the atrium and ventricle. When they're depolarized, they have released their sodium, I believe. Sodium and I just want to make sure I have it right. It's been a while since I've taught this. Polarization. Here we go. Sodium. Okay. Sodium in. Sorry, my bad. Sodium in, not out. So the sodium rushes in, which causes depolarization. And then potassium goes out during repolarization. Man, it's been like 3 or 4 years since I've taught this stuff, so I'm a little rusty on it. Oh, you don't need to know the ion channels and what's causing the polarization and repolarization with these ions of sodium and potassium. So Ahana, you asked, what is R naught and why is it important? So R naught is a measure that we use when we describe how contagious a virus is. So R naught is the number of people that one person is likely to infect if they're infected themselves. So like an R naught of 1, I believe, would be like a person who's infected is likely to transmit the virus to one other person. An R naught of 2 is like 2 other people. An R naught of like 3.5 is like on average people like to 3.5 people. So the higher the R naught for a virus, the more contagious it is, or the faster it spreads. Right? Let me pull that up real quick just to make sure. Yeah. See, so like hepatitis C has an R naught of 2, which means you're likely to transmit it to 2 other people. Something like measles has an R naught of 18, so it's very, very contagious. I don't know what SARS has. COVID-19 was 2.5, 2 to 2.5. So it's actually not that contagious compared to some other viruses. Bharati, what happens when TPA is given during a hemorrhagic stroke? Well, if you kind of logic your way through it, right? Mousepill, let me see your response. The person's condition will worsen. That type of stroke is when the brain artery ruptures and TPA thins the blood. This causes more bleeding in the brain. Yep, exactly. So Mousepill nailed it, Bharati. So the idea is that, when you have a hemorrhagic stroke, right, your brain is basically bleeding out. So what you actually want, if you have a hemorrhagic stroke, is for a clot to form so that the bleeding stops. But if you give someone TPA, which is a clot buster, which breaks up clots and thins the blood, you're actually doing the exact opposite of what would be effective for helping that person. You're in fact making it worse, like Mousepill said. And Ashi, you said if Bharati, also when you ask about fibrinogen, fibrinogen is just a protein that is produced to help blood clot. So it's a clotting factor that helps blood clot so that you stop bleeding if you have an injury. That's what fibrinogen is. And Ashi, yeah, if we have time, we could go into the depth about amino acid oxidation. Yeah, if we have time. Ahana, why is immunity sometimes short-lasting? Is it because the virus can mutate? That's one reason. It could be. It depends. Like it depends, right? Like first, a person might have like a compromised immune system, which could make their immunity last short. Like their immune system might just not be functioning correctly. But alternatively, yes, viruses mutate, and so it's possible that you could be immune to. It's like you can be immune to a virus. Like let's say you get exposed to the flu, an influenza virus, and your immune system responds, and now it has memory cells for that particular virus at that point in time. A year passes, and you get exposed to the flu virus again, but this time it's a different strain because it's mutated and evolved. Now your immune system is not ready. It doesn't have memory of that strain, that mutated version. It only remembers the original one, and so you're not really protected. This is why you have to get a flu shot every year, for example, because the virus is constantly mutating. William, what's up, man? CHIPPO. So CHIPPO stands for CHIPPO is an acronym that gets across all of the things that humans do that impact biodiversity. So it's climate change, habitat destruction / fragmentation. It's I stands for invasive species introductions. The 2 P's are pollution and population growth. So humans causing pollution and the actual growth of human population. So we have too many people encroaching, causing damage. And then the O stands for overconsumption or overharvesting, meaning the overuse of resources. Let me know, William, let me know if you need any help following up on any of those pieces. I can explain those a little bit more. Teacherly, what is MERS? So MERS is basically, is very similar to SARS. It's a coronavirus, but it's from the Middle, it was developed, it's from the Middle East, and it was transmitted to humans via camels. So it's Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome, whereas SARS is South Asian respiratory system, right? So RS stands for respiratory syndrome. I think SA is the region, so South Asian and Middle Eastern. I think. I don't want to be wrong. Give me 1 second. Yeah, see, virus, so MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. Oh, wait, SARS is not South Asian. It's severe acute. Oh, never mind. Interesting. That's very coincidental because SARS is usually a South Asian virus. Anyway, where is the carotid artery? It's in your neck. So the carotid artery, you have 2 carotid arteries, one on either side of your neck, that bring blood to your brain. These are, yeah, right here, right on either side of your neck. So, these are actually the arteries that when you squeeze somebody and you choke them, like when you do like a proper choke to them, like behind the head, that you're compressing and you're closing these arteries, which decreases blood flow to the brain, so someone goes unconscious. You're blocking the carotid arteries. Carotid arteries also tend to be under a lot of pressure because they're relatively close to the heart, because this is the aorta right here at the bottom of this diagram. So the pressure is pretty high, so you can get atherosclerosis in these. And a lot of times, if a plaque forms in the carotid arteries and then it ruptures and a blood clot forms and it dislodges and it travels to the brain, it causes a stroke. Is it possible to kill someone with just your thumb? Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, if they're resisting you, I imagine it'd be pretty hard, but like, theoretically, you probably could. I mean, one way to do it would be just to like do something in such a way where you like compress their arteries. Well, I guess with just with one finger, you could block their airway. You could like put your thumb into their trachea. But I mean, like, if they're resisting, it's going to be kind of challenging. If you're only able to use your thumb, it's probably unlikely. Unless you're talking about like a child, like a literal child, or like an infant. Do I want you to have lungs as part of the circulatory as well? Since that's where it's oxygenated. Nah, I mean, no, I wouldn't say that the lungs are part of the circulatory. I would say that the lungs interface with the circulatory. Like, so for example, you could say that the lungs are a site at which the respiratory and circulatory system interact. If you map it out, yeah, no, you don't need to. When I map it out, so basically what I drew, if you remember my drawing of the blood flow, I didn't actually draw the lungs, right? I just drew, I wrote to the lungs, right? So it'd just be pulmonary artery to pulmonary vein. Oh, like if you're doing like a flow thing, yeah. I mean, you can. It probably doesn't hurt to write the lungs in there to go like that's what I would do, yeah. Because I write the body as well. Like so, if I go aorta, then body, then vena cava. So if I did it that way, I'd go probably pulmonary artery, lungs, pulmonary vein. Yeah. So I would include lungs and body if you're doing like an arrowed flow chart. Yeah, with it's so it's not necessarily like don't think of allergies as your immune system is too like strong. Like all my like if you can't don't go around being like if it's springtime and you start sneezing and needing tissues and stuff, don't start bragging like, oh sorry guys, it's just my immune system is just overpowered. It's my bad. It's actually not. It's more just that your immune system is hypersensitive to inappropriate antigens. It's just that you've got an immune system that doesn't react appropriately to harmless substances that enter your body. Right. So, because if it was just a matter of your immune system being too strong, then those same people that had allergies would probably also be pretty resilient against other pathogens, right? They might not get sick as often from things like actual antigens from like viruses and bacteria, but that's actually not the case. They just happen to have a very sensitive aspect that's overly sensitive, or as Nate, like what you said, hypersensitive. So does too much immune response have any bad effects? Interestingly, yes, actually, Ahana. So let me just kind of maybe give you an explanation. So here's an example. You can die of fever, right? So if your immune response is so strong that it gives you a very, very high fever, like and prolonged, like we're talking like 105 plus for days on end, that can actually kill you. So it's possible for an immune response to actually go overboard and be too strong. Yeah. Yeah. Here's an interesting video that might kind of relate to what you were talking about, Ahana. I'll just kind of look up this.
Insists that they never get colds because their immune system is just so strong. But research shows they might want to hold off on that boast. People with more robust immune responses may actually be more likely to show symptoms of a cold. And that's because cold symptoms aren't caused by cold viruses. but by your body trying to show those viruses the door. The common cold is usually caused by a class of viruses called rhinoviruses. Unlike many other viruses, like the flu, rhinoviruses don't damage or destroy the cells of your airway, though some do fall away. Instead, the symptoms you experience, like a sore throat and stuffy nose, are actually caused by your own immune system responding to the virus. Not everyone who is infected by a cold virus actually shows symptoms. In fact, about 25% of rhinovirus infections have no symptoms at all. And it's not because these people have built up immunity to those particular viruses. A 2003 study looked at healthy infants who visited the doctor either for a routine checkup or for a respiratory infection. They found that of the infants who seemed healthy and were just there for a checkup, 20% of them showed evidence for a rhinovirus infection. But
So, Ahana, the copyright thing only relates to Actually, that's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think so. I've never been. This science show is a YouTube channel, right? They're not. I don't think that they're going around copywriting anything. And I'm only playing it for 3 minutes. It should be fine.
no symptoms. And those babies hadn't had much time to build up immunity to colds or anything at all, really. In people who do have cold symptoms, the severity of those symptoms often correlates with markers of inflammation. These markers include cytokines, molecules secreted by immune cells that are involved in cell communication and interaction. A cytokine called IL-8 has been shown to increase in people with viral inflammation of the nose. IL-8 is involved in recruiting.
But wait, Mr. Chang, that I don't know if that's 100% true though, because I remember I was watching a video on stream before on YouTube from, was it the History Channel or Discovery Channel or something, and I got copyright warning, even though I was commentating on it and pausing it here and there. So I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
White blood cells to infections. This, in turn, heightens your inflammatory response, resulting in pain and a stuffy, runny nose. And a number of studies have shown that there are greater levels of IL-8 in people with more severe cold symptoms. In one 1998 study, volunteers were inoculated with a cold via virus-filled nose drops. Whether or not they developed an infection was measured by flushing their noses with saline in the days after the inoculation, then checking to see if that fluid contained viruses that could infect other cells in a lab. People who did get an infection either showed no symptoms and no IL-8 increase, or they felt sick and their levels of IL-8 went up. In other studies, severity of symptoms similarly didn't seem to correspond with how many copies of the virus are present in your body. In fact, in a 1994 study, washing healthy subjects' noses with IL-8 was enough to induce cold-like symptoms, no virus needed. This makes it seem like the bigger your immune response, the worse your symptoms will be. Taken together, the evidence suggests that people with stronger or more reactive immune systems may actually experience worse cold symptoms. So the next time you find yourself sniffling and sneezing surrounded by tissues, blame your immune system. But don't be too hard on it. You probably want your body to respond to colds with a bit of zeal. It's a sign that your immune system will take invaders seriously, and therefore might just help protect you better against things way more dangerous than the common cold. Thanks for asking, and thanks to our patrons for helping us.
So yeah, I mean, that's the same. This is kind of getting at the same reason why people with stronger immune systems tend to have worse side effects from vaccinations, right? So all these people that are getting their second shot and going like, I didn't really feel anything. It seems fine. Or people that are elderly or have compromised immune systems, their immune system is not responding the way it should. So, yeah, Mr. Chang, I think Twitch is usually fine. YouTube tends to be a little harsh. And yes, major networks are especially annoying. So I just kind of steer away from watching anything that's like an age-old classic major cable network. They just tend to be pretty big sticklers. And also, by the way, the content on those networks are not that great anyway. Ashi, is it easier to introduce dendritic cells than it is killer T cells to one's body? I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. When you say introduce, when you say introduce, I'm not sure what you mean. Your resting heart rate, T Chili, 103 is way too high for your resting heart rate. Your resting heart rate should be around like anywhere from like 50 to 70. Resting heart rate. Yeah, that means that you're probably not resting, or you might have some stress or something. You could have some stress. I mean, are you doing anything that's causing you to be like, you know, worried or anxious, something like that? 46 is low for sure. But it's not unheard of. Like, I've had my heart rate has gotten down to like, I remember when I had to get surgery one time, before I went into surgery, they hook you up to a heart rate monitor. The heart rate monitor kept going off and having to call, like the nurse had to keep coming in because it kept signaling that my heart rate was too low, even though I was just chilling. I think it was getting into like the high 30s at one point. But normally my heart rate's in like the 50s, like low 50s. So 46 is fine. 46 is a healthy heart rate. That's good. Aria, you asked something earlier. Wait, Aria, you said in autoimmune diseases, the T cells are the ones that attack the body's own cells when the immune system is unable to differentiate self from non-self, right? Yeah, I think it's the T cells. I think so. I wonder if it's antibodies. Because I was kind of curious. The role of B cells in autoimmune disease involve different cellular functions, including the well-established secretion of autoantibodies, autoantigen presentation, and ensuing reciprocal interactions with T cells. Through these mechanisms, B cells are involved both in autoimmune diseases that are traditionally viewed as antibody mediated and also in autoimmune diseases that are commonly classified as T cell mediated. Okay, so it sounds like there's different autoimmune diseases that might be more about T cells and some that are more about B cells. This new understanding of the role of B cells opens up novel therapeutic options for treatment. Traditionally, autoimmune disorders were classified as T cell mediated or autoantibody mediated. However, improved understanding of the complexity of the immune system has significantly influenced the way we view autoimmune diseases and their pathogenesis. So it seems like it's both. Both. That happened to you, Erebus? So it happened to me, and the nurse was like getting annoyed at me. I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm sorry that my heart rate is too low right now. Like, I'm not sure what you want me to do, my guy. And then he tried to turn the TV on. He's like, just watch something. Maybe that'll get your heart rate up. I'm like, all right, dude. We'll see. Or maybe the nurse was playing like 5D chess, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna come across as really annoying, so that this person gets mad at me, and when they get angry, their heart rate will go up, and then I won't have to come back. Maybe they were like levels beyond. Wait, Erebus, you fractured your femur? My dude, that's like one of the worst things I can imagine. Your femur is huge. I can't imagine the pain of a fractured femur. How did you do that? How did you fracture your femur? Like, I broke my hand once, like the bone in the center of my hand, the metacarpal here. I've broken a pinky. I dislocated a finger. I broke my nose. I broke a toe. But I've never broken like a major bone like that. That scares me. You fell very hard. What were you doing though? Just like randomly? You just like fall out of nowhere, or were you playing a sport or something? You were running downhill. Oh my God. Yeah, that sounds not so good. Okay. So there's some questions still going on here. I just want to look. Okay, sorry, let me get back to this. Did I miss anything? I think so. Ashi, Arya, Ahana, you guys were talking about T-cell stuff. It looks like you resolved it. If there's anything you want me to clarify, just ask again. Arya, what on the brainstem controls breathing? So the brainstem has three parts. It has the medulla, the midbrain, and the pons. The one that controls breathing, if I remember, is the medulla. I believe it is the medulla oblongata. It's not the hypothalamus, Ashi. Hypothalamus is not it does not control breathing. All right, bye, Ahana. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. I will see you later. What's up, Lucas? Welcome, my guy. So, all right. I don't actually know what you're asking again, Ashi. So, you're talking about what are you talking about? You're talking about dendritic cells. So you want to know can we genetically modify dendritic cells and then reinsert them in a person? You want to know if we can Wait, you want to know if we can genetically modify dendritic cells and then reinsert them in a person? Probably not. So, yeah, T-Chili, it depends on your age, like Arya said. Yeah. Your resting heart rate and your max heart rate, what your max heart rate should be, are based off of your age. So your max heart rate, I think, is 120. No, sorry. Your max heart rate is 220 minus your age. So if you're a 20-year-old, your max heart rate is 200. But as far as your resting heart rate, I think it's slightly different as you go in age. I don't know off the top of my head what that would be, but you can look up your age range. So, okay, yeah. So, Ashi, right? So, the dendritic cell is just a cell that presents the antigen to a T cell, right? And then the T cell does the immune response. The T cells communicate with B cells, and the whole immune system gets underway. Now, you're asking, what are you asking, really? I still don't understand what the crux of your question is. Like you said, we can do because you can modify T cells. Like, what do you mean by modify T cells? But like, what are you modifying them to do? Like, what's the point of the modification, I guess, is my question. That's the whole CAR T cell therapy thing. Remember, it can be used to cure cancer. All right. Hey, I don't remember this. We never talked about this. I was going to say, none of these links are purple. I haven't clicked. Nothing's been clicked here. Okay, I got to brush up on CAR T cell therapy. Your immune system works by keeping track of all the substances normally found in your body. Any new substances the immune system doesn't recognize raises an alarm. Yeah, we know that. Chimeric antigen receptor T cell therapy is a way to get immune cells, called T cells, to fight cancer by changing them in a lab so they can find and destroy cancer cells. It involves altering the genes to help them attack cancer. Okay, I do kind of remember chimeric antigen receptors. I do kind of remember us mentioning this, but I don't think we looked into this that much. Okay. T cells are taken from the patient's blood and are changed in the lab by adding a gene for a man-made receptor. This helps them better identify specific cancer antigens. So different cancers have different antigens. Each CAR is made for specific cancer's antigen. For example, in a certain kind of leukemia or lymphoma, the cancer cells have an antigen called CD19. The CAR T cell therapies to treat these cancers are made to attach CD19. So basically, you get diagnosed with the type of cancer. They look at your cancer cells, figure out what particular antigen is on the cancer cell. They take your T cells, they modify them so that they produce the correct receptor for that antigen. They reintroduce them, and so the point of this is what? To speed up the process of your body producing the correct T cell antigens? Because wouldn't your body, why doesn't your body get there eventually like normal? Like normally, like you would never do this for like a virus, right? Because your body will, by the time you take the cells out of your body, modify them and put them back in, your body will have already created the proper T cells to get rid of the virus. But in cancer, that doesn't happen. So I guess the initial question would be like, why doesn't that process happen in cancer? Is that because the cancer cells are your own cell? So your body has difficulty distinguishing it as a threat because it's like, oh, that's self. So what you can do, so your body will probably never recognize a cancer cell, or in some cases it might, but a lot of times it probably doesn't recognize a cancer cell as problematic because it's your own cell. So to get around that, we can create T cells that do recognize that. But we probably have to be very careful because you would not want to create a T cell that recognizes a receptor or recognizes an antigen that is also present on other cells, because that would really, really mess you up. Right, so let's say they got it right and they picked a antigen that was only present on the cancer cell, which would seem tricky, which would seem hard to do. So they'd have to somehow be able to do that. But if they did that, then they could introduce these and it would attack those cells, and that would make sense. Then, so you're asking, couldn't we do this with dendritic cells? But then, yeah, the question would be like, okay, but wait, hold on. So what would you be modifying? You'd be modifying. So what would you do? I don't know what you would do. I don't know how you would modify a dendritic cell, because remember, dendritic cells signal T cells. So the dendritic cell would have to somehow present the antigen that you care about that's on the cancer cell to the T cell to get the T cells to start replicating for that particular thing. So why would you go that route when you could just do it to the T cell in general? Like, that seems like a lot of extra steps required. It seems very unnecessary. I don't even know if it would potentially work, because you're not doing, it's not a chimeric, it's not an antigen receptor that you, like a dendritic cell does not have an antigen receptor. It has an antigen presenting, it presents an antigen to a T cell that has an antigen receptor. So you would not use an antigen receptor for a dendritic cell, right? Because a dendritic cell is simply a antigen presenting cell that uses probably like an MHC complex, not an antigen receptor. Couldn't you modify it to present that antigen? At that point, you're almost just talking about a vaccine, aren't you? Like, why wouldn't you just use a vaccine that delivers like a strand of mRNA that then produces the antigen, the CD19 antigen, let's say, just taking this as an example, this one as an example. And then that CD19 is presented by the dendritic cell on the surface. I don't know. So how would you just genetically modify? So instead of injecting mRNA, what you would do is you would take dendritic cells out. No, you would have to do what you would have to do if you wanted the dendritic cell to produce the cancer cell antigen and then present it. You would have to use CRISPR, actually. You would use CRISPR. It would go in and it would insert a gene into the genome of the dendritic cells, which would then use that gene to produce the protein, which would then be presented to the T cell, which would then make the T cells that would go and attack the cancer cell. That's what you would have to do. It would actually be a form of gene editing. Hypothetically, would it work? I guess the question you'd have to figure out is do dendritic cells present antigens that they produce from their own genome? Right? There might be some mechanism within a dendritic cell that does not allow it to present an antigen that it created within itself. Right? Because that'd be kind of awkward, right? Like, why would a cell present an antigen that it itself is creating? That seems very suicidal and very counterintuitive. So, I don't know. Okay. What are we doing now? What time is it? 8:20. I think here. Amino acid oxidation another day. So wait, what exactly did you want to? What exactly did you want to know about it? You wanted to go deeper about it, how it happens, what happens, etc., etc. So, like, just basically the idea of how do we get urea? Like, why do we have urea as a waste product in urine? Okay. You can look into it a little bit. Let's see. So here's like your basic sort of diagram of what we care about in regards to amino acid production. Or excuse me, amino acid breakdown. Okay, so you eat protein, dietary protein. It breaks down and you absorb it as amino acids. Those amino acids can be converted into proteins for your cells. Proteins in your cells can also be broken back down the other way into amino acids. Amino acids can not only be used to make proteins, but they go through two pathways. One is they become alpha keto acids and ammonia. Ammonium or ammonia. Is that ammonia or ammonium? NH4. I think it's ammonium. Yeah, ammonium. Okay. Now, keto acids can be used in the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle to create ATP, which they eventually get turned into CO2 and water, just like glucose would. Or apparently, they can be used to make glucose through gluconeogenesis. Interesting. Now, the thing that you care about, right, is the urea. So NH4, ammonium, is not excreted directly by humans. I believe it is by fish. But in humans, because I believe ammonium is relatively toxic, this is converted into urea in some other step. So it says here, biosynthesis of amino acids, nucleotides, and biological amines. So we can use some of the ammonium to maybe make other amino acids, make some nucleotides, other molecules, amines that contain an amino group, basically other molecules. But a lot of it is excreted. But what this diagram does not show us is exactly how does the NH4, the excess NH4, become urea before it is excreted, because it's excreted as urea in our urine. So we need to know the pathway. What you care about is the pathway from NH4 to urea. Is that what you want to look at? T Chili, what are you working on, man? Can I help you? Can I speed up your time? Can I clarify anything to help you be more effective in your studying? So basically, Ashi, this diagram kind of helps us look at like how amino acids can undergo oxidation, right? And so like from this article I'm looking at here, which maybe you've looked at already, it says amino acids undergo oxidative degradation in 3 different circumstances. 1, during normal synthesis and degradation of cellular proteins, right? Some of the amino acids released during protein breakdown will undergo oxidative degradation if they are not needed for new proteins. 2, when a diet is rich in protein and amino acids are ingested in excess of the body's needs, the surplus may be catabolized. 3, during starvation or in a diabetes situation, when carbohydrates are either unavailable or not properly utilized, body proteins are called upon as a fuel. Under these different circumstances, amino acids lose their amino groups, and the alpha keto acids so formed may undergo oxidation to CO2 and water. So when you talk about oxidation, oxidation is not the process of creating urea. It's the process of taking the alpha keto acids and doing this part, creating ATP from it. This part, the excretion, the NH4 to urea, is not oxidation. What up, creepy? I'm doing well, man. How are you? Thanks for stopping in. Bye. These carbon skeletons and amino acids generally find their way to the citric acid cycle, and whether they are oxidized or produce chemical energy or are funneled into gluconeogenesis. In some cases, the reaction pathway is closely parallel to fatty acids. However, so here's like a more detailed description. No. All right, well, if it's going to confuse you, we can look at it later. All right, T. Chili, you did a lab. And you're analyzing your results, and for some reason I'm supposed to find a theoretical RR time and a theoretical beats per minute in rest and in effort. Yeah, I can link it for you. Oops, I gotta link it here. There it goes. Wait, did that link properly? That looks all messed up. Hold on. Oh, that did link. That's all right. It worked. All right, creepy. Take it easy. Enjoy the night. So you're trying to find a theoretical RR time and a theoretical beats per minute in rest and effort. I don't really know what RR time is. The RR interval, the time elapsed between 2 successive R waves of the QRS signal on the electrocardiogram and its reciprocal, the heart rate, is a function of the intrinsic properties of the sinus node as well as autonomic influences. So the RR interval, okay, got it. So RR is basically the time between heartbeats, correct? Essentially, which would give you your heart rate. Am I wrong with that? Exactly. Okay. So you must, I'm guessing, you must have this image. You have one that you got, right, from your lab. You must have something that looks like this, right? So you did a lab with an EKG. So you have an EKG. You're probably meant to label the different parts, right? So it shouldn't be too hard to find the RR time, right? Just find the peak and measure the time between the two. That would give you your RR time. And theoretically, your beats per minute, you'd have to, you'd have two. So you have one ECG for when you're at rest, right? And one ECG when you're in effort, right? So all you're really doing, this is actually really easy. You're just simply figuring out the RR time is the time between beats, right? So that's just a measurement of this. So you'd measure the RR interval for both your ECGs. Then, if you need to convert it to beats per minute, oh wait, those would be experimental. A theoretical RR time? Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Does that mean that they just want you to create an equation? Because the RR time, the theory would be like R would be R2, R2 minus R1 equals RR rate, or RR time. And then beats per minute would just be translating that over the, figure like how many of those would fit into a 1 minute interval, right? So it would be beats per minute would be, what would the equation be? The theoretical equation would be, so that's the interval divided by 60. Yeah, it would just be 60 divided by RR equals beats per minute. Is that what they mean by a theoretical? I don't understand what the question is. Or does it mean for like a theoretical RR for like an average person? Is that why you're asking about average heart rate and average? Is that why you're asking about average heart rate? Because you're trying to think if you could come up with one for like the average. So like the theoretical, the average beats per minute and the average RR. Yeah, that might be what they mean by theoretical. I don't know. Feels weird, man. You know what I should actually do here? Save space. I shouldn't have these coming out here. What I should do is have these. All right, Aria, have a great night. Enjoy. So if we put these here, I'm going to need a little more. I'm going to have to do this. Is this going to be too tight? It's going to go right into the wall. It's going to be... Actually, you know what? We're going to get fancy. Put this here. You only found one for beat per minute at rest on Wikipedia. So it asks you to do a theoretical one, right? So what you could do is just say the theoretical. So if you have the beats per minute, right? So well, here's what I would do. Here's what I would do. Go ahead and take something like okay, look up something like healthy resting heart rate by age. Okay, heart.org seems like a great source. Go ahead and open up their page. Look for their thing. All right, here we go. Perfect. Okay. All right, so that's not resting, actually. Wait, do you just need to find one theoretical RR and one theoretical beat per minute? Does it matter if it's, or you need one for resting and one for in effort? Ashi, do we group bronchial tube together with or separate bronchioles and bronchi when mapping out the respiratory? Probably better to group them together, bronchioles and bronchi. Yeah, group them separate, like two distinct things. Because what I would do, if you just need one, then just go ahead and, like, this shows us, this is your target heart rate, which is basically the heart rate at which you should be exercising within, right? So if you're 20, to get a good workout, your heart rate should be within 100 to 170 beat per minute. And your max should be 200. So you could say, here's an easy way to do it. Here's an easy way. If you just need one, I would just go the theoretical maximum heart rate, 1 BPM for rest, 1 for effort. Okay, so you could say a theoretical BPM, right, for effort of a 30-year-old would be, and just come up with something in between, like pick 150, right, 150 beats per minute. And then convert that into the theoretical RR. Give it the RR. You'd have to do the math to figure out what the RR is of 150, right? And then the resting heart rate, I don't know why it didn't give us the resting one. You know what, that's just, where did that link go? That's just this one. I just looked up. It's a slow website, actually. That's a simple one. That will give you your effort heart rates. I wonder if Mayo Clinic will give you. It just might be a crazy range. I don't know if I don't know if resting heart rate. This is where you found the 60, 100. Yeah, so 60. Just pick something between 60 and 100 for resting. Pick 60. That's easy. That's 60 beats per minute. That's 1 per second. That's easy. Just pick resting a resting heart rate of 60 as your theoretical, and then convert it, and then figure out do the back math to figure out the RR. All right, so this we go up. Oh, I need to delete that. It needs to go. Oh wait, do I have to actually delete this too? Okay, no, that works. Cool. How did he do this window? Oh, I did see how he did it. Got it. Let's do that over here. Actually, no, don't want to destroy that. The amount of wood required in this game is too damn high. I feel like what she is asking for is all nonsense. Getting tired of your teacher. I think that there's a like what I would do if I were you. There was a key clarifying question I would have wanted to ask her what I would have asked would have been something like, when you say theoretical, can you expand on that? Like, what do you mean by theoretical? Like, do you want us to show you like the theory of like how you would calculate this? So give you the equation? Do you want us to pick like a random kind of quote unquote average example and show like a theoretical example? Or like, what do you, right? Because it seemed that word theoretical to me was a little unclear. Like, I wasn't sure what that was implying. Wait, Ashi, which one? Yeah, you want to keep them separate. She would say, search the internet. Wait, but you have to, but then your response to her would be, wait, so you're telling me to search the internet for what you mean by theoretical? Am I going to find that information on the internet? Because that's the question I'm asking you, is what do you mean by the word theoretical in this context? Not what the word theoretical means in general, because of course I could find that definition. Sorry, that's also being a little snarky, so I would not phrase it that way exactly. No worries, Ashi. Have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. Wait, when will I see you? Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. 7th period. There's actually a video I want to watch called "Why It Might Be Good to Have Herpes." I found this while I was looking at the other video for Aria, and this was interesting. I'm curious to see why they say this.
If you know just one thing about herpes viruses, it's probably that once you get infected by one, you have it for life, which obviously stinks in many ways. After all, these viruses are behind things like mono, chickenpox, and shingles, infectious blindness, and even some cancers. But it turns out that they might also be kind of good for you. Having herpes may protect you from things that have nothing to do with herpes, like the frickin' plague. And that's because herpes virus infections do
I'm not worried
something
about the plague
immunologists
in
have only recently realized
2021.
was even possible. They train your first-line immune defenses. Now, we've known for a very long time that the human immune system can remember pathogens and launch a better counter-assault if they dare show up again. That's thanks to the adaptive immune system, the arm of the immune system that includes things like antibodies, those Y-shaped molecules that glom onto viruses and the like, taking them out of commission. But apparently, your innate immune system can learn from experiences as well. That's the arm of the immune system that spots infectious agents to begin with and takes a first stab at kicking them to the curb. And for more than a century, scientists didn't think it could remember anything, let alone use that memory to adapt how it responds to threats. I mean, it's right there in the names. Innate versus adaptive. In fact, the idea it can remember and adapt is so new that the term for it, trained immunity, was only proposed in 2011. The innate immune system doesn't remember specific attackers like the adaptive immune system does. Basically, it just remembers that bad guys exist and that they could come after you at any time, like they've done before. But this is probably enough to alter how well you fight off a potentially deadly infection. And apparently, one way to get this trained immunity is with a little help from a herpes virus, which is a weirdly constructive way to think about herpes. Herpes viruses are members of the Herpes viridae family, 8 of which infect humans, and they're everywhere. The odds of you getting at least one in your lifetime is pretty high. 2/3 of young people in the world probably have herpes simplex 1, for instance, the virus behind cold sores and some cases of genital herpes. And they'll have it forever, because herpes viruses can do something few viruses can. They can hunker down inside cells and remain dormant for long periods of time, a feat known as latency. And this is where the immune training idea comes in. Studies suggest that while herpes viruses are hanging out in their hosts, They can help the immune system fight off deadlier pathogens. See, while latent infections generally aren't attacked like active ones, they don't go totally unnoticed by your immune system. So because they're there, your innate immune system essentially keeps its bouncers on high alert. That high alert state is your trained immunity, and experimental research in mice suggests it could save your life. In a 2007 study, researchers exposed mice to 2 different bacteria, Yersinia pestis, aka the plague, and Listeria monocytogenes, which causes very serious foodborne infections. Mice that were latently infected with mouse versions of herpes viruses were resistant to both bacteria. The perks of having herpes. These perks didn't start right away though. Mice that were still in the acute stage of infection, so before the virus had established latency, weren't resistant to the pathogens. That's all in mice, of course, and scientists haven't definitively proven that infections in humans similarly lead to better defenses against other pathogens. Because, well, we don't generally infect people with deadly pathogens just to prove their herpes is protecting them. But there are clues that human herpes viruses confer similar benefits. Like when researchers looked at the immune cells of people with latent infections of the herpes virus CMV, they saw changes consistent with trained immunity. Specifically, they found differences in the participants' natural killer cells. Immune cells awesomely named because they recognize and kill infected cells. In infected participants, these cells produced more interferon gamma, a protein which helps your immune system to keep an eye out for trouble. And researchers think heightened state of vigilance could last up to a few years after a latent infection starts. So while herpes viruses hide in our bodies, they may also help those bodies stay alive longer. A frenemy with benefits kind of situation, which from an evolutionary perspective makes sense for the virus too, since it can't replicate inside dead cells. Now, trained immunity may not always be a good thing. Researchers think that it could go awry and lead to autoimmunity, the immune system attacking a person's own tissues. Still, it's probably pretty useful a lot of the time. And further research on the phenomenon could really help people. Like eventually studying herpes could teach scientists how to give people
the wood
trained
actually
immunity
ages in this game.
Without the viral infection.
That's crazy.
In fact, some preliminary
Like you can see where the new
research
wood
suggests
I've laid down and where the
certain
old wood
vaccines
is.
are
That's
already
actually
doing
kind of
this.
cool.
We just need to take a closer look to figure out how. And this could mean we can finally get a jump on some of our more persistent foes. And hey, since most people are stuck with these viruses anyhow, it's nice to know that there are some upsides. Thanks for watching SciShow.
Okay. Does herpes reduce life expectancy? No. Not that I'm aware of. Herpes is like a very mild, like it's not, it's probably like a very, herpes is a very small deal, like ultimately. It really doesn't affect your lifestyle that much. Obviously you have to, let sexual partners know that you have it so that they're aware. But as far as the person who has it, herpes is it's mostly dormant in your body and doesn't really cause much reaction. Windows. I want to put more windows. So I want more windows. Let's destroy this. We'll build this somewhere else. This bed goes. Okay, where am I going to put my crafting table? I think the crafting table makes more sense actually like right over here. Wait, you can't destroy something unless you've built a crafting table? It's kind of frustrating. Put all this stuff in there. What is that? Bees. Grade of eye, resin, grade of trophy. What up, Lucas? Do I know the origins of hibernation? It came to me, so now I'm curious. Do you know the origins of... When you say origins of hibernation, are you referring to, like, the evolutionary origins? Like, at what point in evolutionary history did the, like, a hibernation strategy evolve? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. Do you want to look it up a little bit? See what we can figure out? I'm going to need a lot of chest space, so that's why I'm building, like, stacks of chests here. Can I fit one more? No, okay. We'll put these, make these more centered then. We'll go like boom and boom. 5 chests under there. Nice. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, so that's something that we could look up. Oopsie. I don't know if I need coal for anything. Carrot seeds, deer trophies. Too many big words. What is this? The evolution of mammalian hibernation. Lessons from comparative acid-base physiology. Acid-base physiology. So we can read the abstract real quick. The conquest of land has endowed air breathers with the capability to utilize ventilation, not only to acquire oxygen, but also to control blood and intracellular acid-base state. Hypercapnic acidosis, resulting from ventilatory control and or behavioral choice. Hypercapnic is excess of oxygen. Acidosis is, wait, right? Hypercapnia is when you have too much oxygen in the blood. Oh, too much carbon dioxide, sorry. I was going to say that didn't make sense to cause acidosis. So yeah, so when CO2 reacts with the water in your blood, right, it creates a carbonic acid, which gives you acid. So when you have hypercapnia, it causes acidosis. So hypercapnic acidosis has become a universal component of hypometabolic states in air breathers with inhibitory and or protective roles. Hypometabolic means low metabolism. Here, special emphasis is placed on the understanding of alterations of acid-base state associated with changes in temperature. Hypercapnic acidosis in connection with hypometabolism has been found in a variety of air-breathing clades, from snails to mammals through lungfish, amphibians, and reptiles. The discovery of plesiomorphic character of mammalian hibernation has made the transfer to hibernation biology of the experience gained in the application of hypercapnic acidosis, the so-called pH stat procedure, relevant to acid-base control in clinical artificial hypothermia. This paves the way for mutual benefits from such reciprocal exchange of information between hibernation biology and clinical applications. I don't know if this is going to give us... I think maybe in the introduction, it'll give us general characteristics of mammalian hibernation. Air breathers. Yeah, we're all a bunch of air breathers up here on land. As the water breather needs high ventilatory flow rate. So it seems like this a lot of this paper is all about the actual underlying process. You probably want to go back up here. So it looks to me like this is not talking about the evolution of hibernation. It's more talking about how can we look at what's going on during hibernation and how can we use that to help us in the clinical field when we deal with people who have hypothermia. So they're trying. So this paper is not really actually looking at the evolution of the behavior of hibernation. So I don't know if we're going to get the answer to your question here. I mean, it makes sense like why hibernation exists, right? Because hibernation is obviously a way for an organism to essentially lower their metabolism and not need very much energy during a period of time in which it would be very difficult to acquire energy, aka during the winter when there's not a lot of available food, right? Because in the winter, the sunlight is less. There's less sunlight because of the rotation of the earth, which then leads to less plants. If there's less plants, there's less primary consumers. If there's less primary consumers, then top predators, such as bears, which are notorious for hibernation, don't have access to much energy. So it makes sense for them to just kind of go dormant and be like, you know what, we're just going to ride out this time and use very little energy. And then when the plants return, because the sunlight becomes more available and the more organisms become available, we'll come out of hibernation, get as much energy as we can, store it up as much as we can, so that we can then ride it out again through the winter, right? It makes sense as like a strategy for survival for organisms to have evolved. Now, when did it evolve? I don't know. That, again, we'd have to look at it. We'd have to you have to look it up. So you want to know like how? So wait, Lucas, do you remember VIST, variation, inheritance, selection, and time? Like if you like again, this is an example. So like all of the practice things that we did with Vist, right? Like all of those were like basically answering a question that you just asked. Like, oh, how did the evolution of skin color evolve? How did elephants get shorter tusks, right? How did, blah, blah, blah. So if you're asking, how did bears come to hibernate? We have to answer variation, inheritance, selection, and time. So in the original population of organisms, before they evolved the ability to hibernate, was there variation? Did some bears sleep slightly longer than others? Right? Sure. Right? And then is there inheritance? Is the ability to sleep longer, or like to sleep longer during winter times, is that a heritable trait? Probably. There's probably some genetic basis for like some sleeping longer than others. Selection. Was there a selection pressure? Probably, right? There'd be some sort of selection pressure in which the organisms that conserved more energy, and maybe at first it wasn't like sleeping. Maybe at first it was just sort of like slowing down, moving less, right? And so there would be some selection benefit because you were saving energy, right? If you were a bear that was like moving around a lot, you'd burn a lot of energy and you're not getting food and you would die. You wouldn't make it through the winter, right? And so over time, then the T part, there was a slow but steady selection for organisms who used less energy. And then over time, these organisms became more and more conservative of energy during the winter, leading into what we see, which is a full hibernation, right? So you can imagine it's like a slow, gradual transition. That would be the way I would explain it using this. Now, we can look at this here. Oh, it wants to download a PowerPoint. Interesting. I don't know if I want to download an entire PowerPoint. I don't want to download it. I understand the thinking. What bugs me, though, is it feels like animals are extremely aware of preparing for hibernation. Well, yeah. What's up, Yash? Hey, hey, hey. Well, yeah, they because their behavior is going to be very attuned to like this part of their life cycle, right? So these organisms would be very adept at like preparing and setting themselves up for proper rituals prior to the hibernation event, right? So it's like when one trait evolves, of course, other things are going to change in response to that, right? So as they start sleeping longer and longer, their behavior during times of activity are probably going to shift to maximize that hibernation, or to be prepared for it, or else it just becomes useless, right, as a standalone kind of behavior. I don't know if Wikipedia is going to help us. Let's see if we can open this up. Let's see what this has to say. None have extraordinary evidence supporting them. We're going to explore theories specifically related to the evolution of hibernation in animals. What is hibernation? We already know. Who hibernates? Mammals, birds. Wow, a lot of people. Causes. Physiologically, it decreases body temperature, heart rate, and metabolism, bringing long-term dormancy, interrupted by brief awake periods and rewarming. Interesting. Genetically, different gene expression patterns during winter. Oh, so the genes are expressed differently during hibernation. That makes sense. That was a cloth. It's a chilled out polar bear. Where would a bird hibernate? Probably in its nest or in a tree. Here's the theories. 1. Hibernation evolved from early endotherms. Endothermy allows animals to survive varying temperatures and supports higher degree of organization. Ectotherm to endotherm. Some believe hibernation and torpor. Wait, what is torpor? A state of physical or mental inactivity. Oh, basically brain dead. Torpor. So torpor and hibernation are not exactly the same thing, but they're very similar. Daily torpor. So we all have daily torpor because we go to sleep at night. So Yash, like what you were saying is you hibernate every day. A better way to say that is you don't hibernate every day. You have periods of torpor every day. So it sounds like the answer to your question is not. This isn't the best. You know what this looks like? This looks like a presentation of a student in like an undergrad, in like an evolution. Yeah, this is a student. So whoever this is, these two, Carrie Massey and Emily Williamson, they were in Bio 425 during spring of 2009. Wait, I would have been in the same. Wait, I would have been in the same kind of class at the same time, 2009. I would have been a senior in my undergrad, and Bio 424, like the evolution, this would be, dude, these people are my age. And this is like not the greatest presentation of all time, I'll be honest with you. It's decent. It's just not very clear. I would need to hear them present this. All right, go get your torpor, my guy. Torpor it up. Still missing wood. Oh, you're not leaving? I thought you actually were. How's the house going? It's going all right. It's good. I think it's pretty much done now. I'm going to add some windows real quick. I want to add another window set here. Which needs... Actually, yeah. I'm going to cut down some trees. I'm going to cut this guy down. This guy's got to go. Bye. What? No! Bro, why did it go that way of all ways? Are you kidding me? Well, shouldn't it go downhill? Like, does gravity just not exist in this game? I think my brightness is maxed out, though. I don't think there's a brightness. There's not even a brightness setting on here. Yeah, you can sleep. You can sleep. Jameson. Hey, come on. Come out from underneath there. Let's go, buddy. Jameson. Okay, don't go under the couch, buddy. You can't be under there. My dog's that's the name it was given by the adoption agency. It already had that name, so I couldn't think of anything better. So we just stuck with the name it was he was given. Kind of it felt like it worked, made sense. It's not a bad name. I'm okay with the name. Missing flint. Yeah, it's kind of like, look, when you hear the name, like once you put the name to the dog, it like you associate it and it seems to be fine. But I was starting to stress a little too much about like trying to think of a perfect name. I couldn't come up with anything, so I was just like, you know what? We're just gonna stick. We're sticking with what you were named. We're just gonna stick with it. Cooking station. No. What do I need? Leather scraps. Flint. Wood. Might be able to actually build that. Do I have enough leather scraps though? No, don't have enough leather scraps to build that yet. All right, where am I going to put my fire pit? Oh, I didn't finish this. One sec. I need more wood. So there's a lot of trees here that I should probably cut down that are kind of in the way of this house. I'm just worried that they're all going to fall on my house. Let's cut this one down. Like, you probably should have cleared this before. No, I need the wood. If I burn them, I don't get the wood. I actually need the wood. So I'm not just cutting them down for the looks. I'm cutting them down for the resources. I just don't know how the physics work in this game insofar as which way this tree will fall. Certain trees are stronger, so like there's these beech trees are easy to cut down, but then there's like these birch trees that are actually hard. I don't have the right tools yet for them. Okay, let's put this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how Mr. Jones... Wait, on a scale of 1 to 10, how Mr. Jones... like am I? What do you mean by that? You mean like in real life? How much am I like the person you see on stream? Like exactly. I'm not playing a character. If that's what you mean. I want like that. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Oh, am I still in just chatting? Oh, you're right. I mean, I'm almost gonna be done anyway now. It's already 9:19. Favorite food? That is actually easy. My favorite food is probably something. So actually, you know what? It's funny. My favorite food used to be this Thai soup called Tom Kha. But then I ate it while I was sick, and my body kind of associates it with that, and so because I like ate it and I threw up and it was just not good. So now I'm kind of like having issues being able to eat it again, which is kind of unfortunate. But I also really like any other Thai food is also really good too. So.
Do you think there are people your age in your neighborhood?
PB and Mr. J. That would be good. I have not had a peanut butter and jelly in quite a while. Ooh, I almost just got murdered by this log. This thing came flying. Yeah, you think the roof looks a little bit weird, huh? Whoa. Let me see. Is this gonna look good? No. What would be like a good trim? I mean, I suppose I could do something like this. That doesn't quite look great. They don't have a lot of good options for certain things in this game. I think that actually looks decent. It looks better than none. Yeah, you don't have very good options. Do a little corner here. What? Have I just not unlocked stuff? I don't think so. I mean, maybe. I mean, there's a bunch of other squares here. There could be stuff I haven't unlocked. That's true. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Oh yeah, stone. That's true. I haven't unlocked stone. I have not unlocked stone yet. Once I finish this trim, I think we're calling it. Hold on, we got a corner. And we got this corner. And we got this. All right, Lucas. I will see you later. Missing requirement. Need more wood, huh? We're good. I think that's good enough for today. I think there's one place that looks kind of bad. I think the front looks pretty bad. I think it's because I need like a bigger... I don't like that. I feel like it's because I want this to be a double entryway, maybe. And then maybe like actual window above. Is it more difficult to see the effects of glucagon than insulin? Is it more difficult to see the effects of glucagon than insulin? Oh geez. Wait, which door do I want to delete? When you say, is it more difficult to see the effects? By measuring blood sugar. Well, insulin will lower your blood sugar if it's working properly, and glucagon will raise it. So it's probably easier to see the effects of insulin because once you eat a meal, your blood sugar goes up. Oh yeah, it's easier to see the effects of insulin, yeah, probably, because once you eat a meal, your blood sugar rises, and then your body counters that and brings it back down to appropriate levels. But your blood sugar really never gets... Your blood sugar can't drop too low, or else you die, right? So your blood sugar will always kind of have a base, and glucagon will always be released to keep it at that base. You'll never see a big dip and then come back up, but you will see an increase and then a bring back to baseline. So low blood sugar is more deadly than high in terms of short-term issues. So it's going to be easier to see insulin for sure, the effects of insulin than glucagon. So if you eat a bunch of sugar in like 5 minutes, blood sugar will have a max. Yep. Maybe not 5 minutes, maybe like 20 minutes. I'm not exactly sure I'm not exactly sure how long it takes for your blood sugar to reach its max. It's probably more like an hour, actually. Does this even look good? Super functional doors. Trying to do too much. Trying to be too cute. Trying to make this look a little bit less like just a... Actually, what if we did that? What if I just did that? And then that. Let me get my... Oh. And if you didn't eat 5 hours before, well, if you didn't eat 5 hours before, then your blood sugar will be, it'll be at its minimum because I guess you might be in like a fasting state at that point. This flattening tool is actual trash. Oh, actually, wait, never mind. It's so easier to see. Yeah, like you're gonna see a difference in your blood sugar levels. If your blood sugar will rise, and it'll be easier to see that rise if prior to that your blood sugar was low, and your blood sugar would be low if you were fasting for quite a while. Okay. Oh, it actually never finished this wall here. This window. Feels like there needs to be a window on this side too. Well, also, where am I going to put my... Put it here. that gonna jack up my house because that smoke can't get out? That could be really annoying. Do I make like a small chimney here? So like put like is that gonna be good? Is it gonna be able to go up just through that tiny little crack? And then just accumulate in the attic? Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm calling it a night pretty soon. I'm just trying to finish up a couple things. Oh, I need resin for that? Resin. Honey. Oh, resin. I don't think I can have a fire here. It's just really annoying. All this smoke is really just messing everything up. Wait, Zenda, do you know, is there, like, how do you get, I don't know if you know this, like, how do you create, like, can you even have a fire inside, or else, or is there any way to create, like, a legitimate chimney that will siphon that smoke out properly? Because it doesn't seem like it. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just put the fire outside. Yeah, makes sense. Give us some light here. Ooh, how about we do a light in the corner of the stairway? That looks pretty decent. Wait, why do they sometimes go out? Wow, that was not where I thought I placed that. That was supposed to go like there. Let there be light. Okay, I think we're all right. Ooh. Deer rug? Wait, I'm sleeping upstairs. That was my thought. So my bed will go. Wait, let's get rid of this. Ooh, I can build a raft already. Cool. Is removing a tumor in a lung a big thing? Yeah, because if to remove a tumor from a lung, you're actually going to be cutting out quite a bit of lung tissue itself. So you're going to be running into a lot of issues with lung function. All right, I don't really think there's much else I can build. So at this point, I'm kind of done with architecture. Like, I'm pretty good. I'm like, all right, I got myself my house. I think I'm good for now. And I've got a decent amount of space to make additions. I've got good upstairs space. Although this is kind of awkward. This isn't really working the way I thought it was going to work. Oh, there we go. That actually worked right there. That's what I needed to do. Give all that. There's still some stuff here that's not really structurally sound, if we're being real about it. But I don't know what to do about that. You don't like physics? Well, how much longer do you have in physics, man? You can power through. I believe in you. I think you can make it. Ticho, your friend is having lung surgery tomorrow to remove a lung tumor? Wow, man. I really, I hope so too. Let us know how it goes. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow. I might not be on tomorrow. Just FYI. Did that help that? Nice. Give a little structure there. 1 month recovery. That seems pretty short. I'll be honest. 1 month seems pretty short for something like a lung surgery. But yeah. All right, that's actually giving this up. Actually, this is actually looking pretty nice now. Oh wait, why is this back to? Why are these back to red? Do these need joists? Do these need to be buttressed? Like this? Does that work? Does that help them get buttressed at all? No? Well, if that doesn't do anything, I'm not going to put them there. Wait, all this stuff that was supposed to be working before all of a sudden stopped working. Why? Is it because these are not structurally strong? Remember, this all started not working. So like, this is red, and the question is, why is that red? That's red. This is all red? Oh, wait, is this not connecting underneath? All right, Ticho. Yeah, let us know. Did I do my 10 couch push-ups? No, I did not. So I got to figure out, where is this connecting to down here? Shoot, this is actually going to be hard. Guess we have to destroy. Wait, wait, 1. So this is in the middle. So you go over 1, 2. 2, oh, 2. From where this is, it's 2 over. Yeah, Appa. I mean, Doomkaiser's pretty much right on with his explanation there. Yeah, that's pretty much perfect. Yep. So you're immune. Like most of the time, interestingly enough, like the most of the time, the reason why you feel sick is a lot of times it's not actually because of the virus or the bacteria that you get. It's because your immune system is responding, and that makes you feel kind of crappy because your immune system does all this like inflammation and fever, and it takes a lot of energy to ramp up your immune system, so your whole body kind of aches. And so a lot of those symptoms are actually not from the virus or bacteria itself. It's from your immune system ramping up. And so when your immune system responds to a vaccine, the same thing is happening. It's an immune response. You're getting all of that, those side effects. Yeah. So the side effects that you get from a vaccine actually are telling you your immune system is working. So this goes over 1, 2. Is this like right here? I wish it would click. Hey, is that it? I don't think that worked. It's hard to tell if it's aligned. Yes, it's not even aligned. All right, I'm gonna destroy that real quick, just so I know where the heck to place this beam. All right, now hopefully that translates and gives us a decent. Please tell me this is all green up here now. Yellow, green. Really? It still didn't do much. Why is that yellow? Is this yellow? No, that's green. That's green. I wonder if that's because that's not what I want there. What if I want... So, nothing. That didn't do anything at all. I don't get this game, dude. I don't get how the physics work. It's like, it's not clear. Like, all this stuff is red. So wait, if I did this... Does that do anything? No, it doesn't do jack. So even like having a support there. Alright, well, whatever. I guess we'll just see what happens. Like that all looks pretty good. Decently. It's still a lot there. Yeah, I know, but you know, Mr. P told me yesterday that the best part of this game is the building. So I'm trying to like understand why he said that. Wow, this is all messed up here. This corner piece. That's true. That is very true. No, that's what I want with this one. There we go. Tis true. Okay. I think we're good. All right. I probably won't be streaming tomorrow, but I will see you all on Friday. I may pop on tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. Depends on what happens, but don't hold your breath. All right. Later, Doomkaiser. Later, T-Chill. I will see y'all tomorrow. Enjoy your night. Later, Nathan. See you on Friday.